Hello creatives, welcome to my channel. My name is Beth and I'm back here at the gallery to do a Cardology Tarot reading for Sagittarius season and the 3 Decans. I'll offer a bit of astrology guidance as to how we might all navigate what we receive from Source and how to use any cards in the spread for your birth chart. If you haven't gotten your own personal Cards of Truth Cardology birth chart yet, there's a link below to create a free one at Ernest Wellham's website. So let's start with a quick review about what we all can expect energy-wise over this month in the freedom, philosophy-loving, curious, optimistic, mutable fire sign, who has the abilities to turn their visions and philosophical thoughts into concrete actions and circumstances. There is a lot of easy, creative, spendable energy that comes with the Sagittarius. So much energy that the words are out of their mouths before they think, and that can come across as blunt. But that's part of the shadow side. We'll get to that catch-22 in a minute. Let's start with the ruling planet. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the great benefic, a planet that represents joy and expansion, an endless enthusiasm, freedom-loving, adventurous spirit. So, no surprise, this is where you'll find your curiosity and openness in your chart. So take a look at what card you have in the 5th Jupiter position and where your birth Jupiter is located and what card is there. Follow that trail and see what you can see. Is Jupiter happy or does it have an obstacle holding it back? The star constellation for Sagittarius is the Centaur, half horse, half human with a bow and arrow, which is linked to the story of Chiron. This connection gives Sagittarius the ability to teach and heal. This is linked further with their deep appreciation for finding the truth. That's why Sagittariuses are known to be the spiritual warrior of the zodiac, because like Chiron, they are wired for what is right and just in the world. The Centaur constellation is located in the center of the entrance of the Milky Way. This gives their spiritual warrior the job of protecting the universe. Sagittarius's home is the 9th house. This house symbolizes the expansion of higher learning, faith, and intuition, the wisdom of theology and travel. It's a house where we venture out into the world, not only physically traveling, it can be an inner exploration of philosophy as well, in order to absorb a greater knowledge of self and how we are connected spiritually. Astrologically, look to your 9th house and what zodiac sign is ruling there. It'll give you characteristics about yourself and how you are drawn to learning. For instance, my 9th house is ruled by Libra and is my midheaven. So it's no wonder I found my financial calling in the art of making art beautifully balanced for people's environments. In Vedic cardology, the 9th house also rules good karma and morality or ethics. It can tell you where you'll find your karmic good fortune or the most satisfaction in what you do. It's all the good things from a past life. It can also tell you if you are here on a more active spiritual path. In my cardology chart, my 9th house is with the 9 of diamonds in the Mercury placement. So yes, obviously, here I am channeling 9th position K2 experiences from a past life's good karma perspective. I've been told by more than one colleague that I have a fated chart to do exactly this. In your cardology chart, the card you have in the Jupiter's 5th placement is known as the averted card placement, meaning that whatever card you have in that location is blocked from trouble somewhat. It's a fortunate thing, like being somewhat protected by the good karma you earned in a past life. All 7 of clubs, like myself, have a 7 of spades in the 5th Jupiter placement. This is why we 7 of clubs are a little more lucky when it comes to health and well-being, according to how much good karma you earned last trip around. So look to see what card, planets, houses you have in Jupiter's placement. These are clues as to what good karma you can count on in this lifetime, where you can relax a little and enjoy the benefits. Sagittarius's element is fire. This brings a warmth and light that energizes and can be very inspiring and independent. This can make Sagittarius's quick-tempered, quick to fall in love, quick to spend all that fiery energy in just the way they show up in a room. Being the mutable fire sign, the energy is more likely to be channeled into gathering and sharing knowledge. On the other hand, any energy left unchecked or challenged can cause an impulsive, low vibe outburst of temperamental tongue lashings and, well, it's hard to cap triggered enthusiasm. Sagittarius is a mutable sign, so it makes them the season closer. It makes them adaptable, okay with change, and willing to compromise and exploring ideas. Mutable signs are solution-oriented. However, in a lower vibration, it can make Sagittarius lack commitment and focus. So, Sagittarius's major arcana card is Temperance, that inner alchemy that strives for an enlightened and balanced state of being. The card shows an angel pouring liquid from one cup to another, back and forth, a process called tempering, which leads to a perfected middle state. Sagittarius can accomplish this with becoming more philosophical with exploration and travel. However, it's best to keep one foot on the ground, home, and one in the water, travel. Symbolic, again, of balance. If you've wondered who the angel is on the card, her name is Iris, a link with spirit and one who travels around the world, channeling and sharing source's wisdom and love that is bigger and brighter than herself. So beautiful. So in cardology, the red 3s have temperance energy, meaning to have your balance tested through having to think and act quickly while keeping your emotions and life's morality in check. So now we get a sense of how Sagittarius shows up in the world and in our charts, striving for a more enlightened state of being through expanding the mind, absorbing knowledge, sharing it in a bigger way than just for yourselves. It's a tall order to take on. However, they are here to strengthen these character traits. When you meet a Sagittarius, they come across as open and joyful, kind of like a magnet you feel drawn to for a witty and deep conversation. At the very least, you'll be entertained. So what's the catch 22, or the shadow side of immutable, fire, freedom lover, ruled by the 9th house of travel and higher learning? Well, let's remember that they have a tendency to be overly outspoken. They can become easily overwhelmed with the intensity of an actively creative thinking mind. They can overanalyze things and get lost on where it was going. They can inadvertently make people feel inferior and themselves superior. They need for the truth, can take them to a place of being so straightforward and blunt that it causes embarrassments. They're too busy feeding their own curiosity while other people's feelings go unnoticed. The freedom-loving, impulsive, craving adventure can be a real heartbreaker in relationships. It can come across as being in and being out at the same time. Okay, so the best day of the week to cash in on the energy of Sagittarius and Jupiter is Thursdays. Perfect timing for boosting your manifesting goals on the Thursday before a new or full moon. And do an extra pitch to the gods that be, ensuring them that your intentions are good and you have all the gratitude to take your manifesting wish to its fullest. So let's get started with the tarot reading for Sagittarius season and the 3 decans. So I'm first going to ask, during this time of Sagittarius season and the 3 decans, what about self needs to be brought to the attention and clarified at this time? I'm going to use the archetype cards to see where we are being invited to take an inner look. Then my Cardology Spirit and Nature deck for direction to go deeper by pulling that thread within your own chart. Then more helpful clarification with the Lenormand cards. And then lastly, we're going to finish with a loving starseed card message of encouragement. So let's begin and look at the first decan of Sagittarius. So let's take a look at the first decan of Sagittarius. This one runs from November 23rd to December 2nd and is subruled by Jupiter as well. So this decan is the truth seeker. They're honest and frank. They've got a good sense of humor and a loving, adventurous, and optimistic and blunt. They can be so open that they lack tact, oversharing, judgmental, and just kind of blurting the whole thing out. All right, let's take a look at the archetype card and see what we have. So we are being invited to look at the gambler archetype. Very interesting card for this first decan to get because it's a thrill seeker. It's risk-taking. It's adventurous. So it all kind of fits with that first decan. Plus, it has this wrapped up in intuition and a gut feeling. So you really have to think about how well you deal with consequences or how impulsive you are. How much chance do you take? Do you risk things to get lucky? Or are you more of a hardworking and expect the payoffs to come through hard work? Is it a calculated risk? Because that could look at like an entrepreneur, right? It is a gamble, but it is a calculated gamble. And there's lots of benefits that could pay off with being that entrepreneur. But you really got to have your feet on the ground to keep your head out of the clouds with this one. So it's interesting that the light attributes say willingness to follow intuition, even when others doubt you. And the shadow attributes are relying on luck rather than hard work. So yeah, I have experienced that when I've wanted to take a risk, calculated risk, and had met with opposition. And it's an interesting place to be when you just know in your gut that it's a good thing to go with. There's very little risk. You know it's going to be hard work, but you're willing to put in that kind of effort. I think, in certain situations, it's okay to do exactly that. So let's take a look at the Spirit and Nature card and see what you get here as far as direction as to where we're going to keep looking at this gambler archetype that we are really wanting some clarification around, and why this card is being brought to the attention and what needs to be clarified about it. So we're taking a look at the Six of Diamonds. This is an interesting card. This is the devil energy in the major arcana. So again, we're looking at being very conscious, having that conscientious awareness of who we are. There's a certain empowerment that we can grasp with this card, because it is a card that has to really balance that energy of ego and soul. It's a card of hard work paying off, only to the point of how much hard work you're willing to put in. Very intuitive, very running by that gut feeling, that knowingness. So maybe that is where this is headed. Kind of feels like that to me, where we're really being asked to check in with that gut feeling. There's something about this that really wants to be taken away from that risky throwing in the house and the car and the job to gamble on the most risky roulette wheel, in hopes that it's going to pay off. So I guess, obviously, we got these cards, so some of us out there are taking more chances and flying by the seat of our pants than we probably should be, and lacking in that grounded diamond, grounded stability, that strength, that diamond connotations of prosperity and growth through that hard work, because it is kind of getting the big payoff, the big joy, the big rewards, that validation from that we seek from outside sources, for having that wherewithal of knowing what to gamble on and what not to gamble on, when to gamble, when not to gamble. You don't want to risk throwing out the baby with the bathwater and ending up with nothing, right? But in certain attributes of this card, of the Six of Diamonds, it is that ability to have that connection, that psychic realization, and being driven by the need to do something bigger than self. And if you can wrap your brain around your intuitive feelings, it really is that marriage between ego and soul. You're being intuitively led, yet you're being grounded enough to know in what direction to be going wholeheartedly in. Let's take a look at the Lenormand cards and see what it has to say. So we've got the birch rod. This is sweeping something out. Interesting. So, sweeping out the vibe of moving too quickly, that impulsive lower vibe of this enthusiasm, and getting more grounded. Clearly, that is why the Six of Diamonds is here. So this really is all about how grounded you are in your decision making. So when you're unsettled, when you're nervous, when it is really time to ground, how do you do that? How do you stay out of that shallowness of a ego-driven pursuit? I'm getting that the Devil card and Temperance and being in touch with who you are at a deeper soul gut-led connection is the way to go. So if you're feeling disconnected, or you're being driven on an energy of feeling like you have a lack of resources, or low self-esteem, or you're in debt, in some way you're feeling like you don't have stability. So in that case, you're triggered. So in the triggering, to think about the Devil card in the shadow attributes of having a tendency for addiction or unhealthy attachments, holding on to secrets, staying in an illusion and feeling disillusioned, right? An entrapment, really, that you could be doing self-sabotaging yourself with it, right? Putting something forward that's not you, and lacking the wherewithal and the commitment to stop and really understand that if you really, really, really want it, it's the hard work that's going to pay off. There's just no other way to do it. It's just no other way. So you could get lucky, but the chances of that are what? Thank God this isn't the Seven of Diamonds card. That 1 in a million. I'd be out buying my lottery ticket now. Instead of thinking about how we could sweep out the tendencies to take the easy route, and how we can sink into a more grounded, intuitive, connected connection with your daimon, your spirit guides, to usher you carefully and with intention and goal oriented, with a focus that is a challenge for any Sagittarius, and a challenge for whatever you have in your chart related to Sagittarius or the 9th house. So you really want to go to look there, because it can, depending on what's there, like for myself, a Sagittarius rising, that's my midheaven. That's where I go to financially find what is going to be satisfying and make the difference in my livelihood. So to take chances in that, which we're all being asked to look at our chart and see what you have there, especially in this first decan Sagittarius, to look at that and understand that this is where you're being challenged, to really take this look into what could be going on for you that needs to be brought to your attention? What needs to be swept out and have something more concrete to fill it? It's a very interesting question because you look to Jupiter for your joy, to where you're lucky. What's in that fifth position of your cardology chart? What's sitting in Jupiter's spot? What card do you have there? How does that, when you pull the thread, where does that take you? How happy is your Jupiter? And those that have it compromised by a planet that, say Saturn or Mars, it is one that causes more strife and harder row to hoe with that there to find your happiness. But once you understand what your obstacles are, there are ways around it. Many ways around it. Your chart is full of loopholes and ways to balance that out. Okay, so I think we got what we needed, and we're going to look to see how we can ground more into a stronger, more focused and goal-oriented self, being led by that gut feeling, being honest and truthful with ourselves, and figure out what needs to go so that it can make room for a more positive, honest and goal-oriented you. Check your chart and see if you've got the Six of Diamonds there. See what you have in your sixth position. It's Venus. So see what you have there and understand that Venus is all about those creature comforts. The Six of Diamonds is about having that satisfaction. But it's a satisfaction that is a combination of combining and finding your skills and your talents. It is influencing, fulfillment, luxuries, creature comforts. We're talking Venus, diamonds, earthy, and devil energy here with making good choices. This is about empowerment choices. So yeah, hard work can pay off. That is what it's saying here. It is a validation of your efforts. It's very nice, actually. And being so intuitively in touch. So look for your diamonds in your chart as well. That can give you a lot of direction as to where you can find a deeper connection. All right, let's see what you get for the Starseed cards. Vibration. Your vibration is being raised to a higher level, or raised to higher levels. You are connected to cosmic intelligence. For sure. Oh my goodness. That's beautiful, and kind of gives you the idea that the birch rod is also suggesting to sweep out any doubt that that's the way to go. Wow, that is such a direct message. It's pretty beautiful. I think I'm going to have a good Sagittarius season. I so hope so. All right, let's go on to the second decan. Okay, so let's move on to the second decan. This one runs from December 3rd to December 12th. This decan is subruled by Mars, so it has the most energy. It's very enthusiastic and driven, assertive and restless, clear and decisive. Catch-22, it can be bored easily, unable to focus and finish what they start. And they can come across as a little harsh. So let's take a look at the archetype card. We got the Mystic. So the light attributes, revels in intimate unison with the divine. Shadow attribute, disillusional rapport with the divine. Yes, we know some false mystics, don't we? They have been found out. So, how genuine is the connection? I think that's first what we want to ask, because a lot of witchy types, a lot of people that want that connection, but are in a way afraid to dive deep enough intuitively into that woo-woo, if you will, that they feel uncomfortable doing that. That it could be from being under the influence of outside sources. So this being Sagittarius, knowing that you are intuitively led, could be a very big challenge to release that feeling of being held back, to really allow that connection to happen for you, to bring more of a truth to it. How do you do that? I know when I first started exploring the occult sciences, wondering just how deep my intuitive abilities ran, I was doing all kinds of things to sort of put it to the test. Kind of a true Sagittarius rising, in that I had some doubts, wasn't certain. I didn't want to overthink it, but I wanted to know where that balance was, just how much I could trust and how much I could run with, right? It's fun to know that you've got some abilities, you just don't know how much. So I was doing all kinds of things, from, guessing cards to using the pendulum, asking questions with the tarot, waiting to see, just kind of, it was fun and it was enlightening, and it embodied a sense of reality that told me, and further on down the line, realizing that, I am right where I am supposed to be at this time in my life. I've always been a late bloomer. So here it is, me coming with the Mystic card. All right, so what about it? Light attributes. So there's this intuitive lifestyle, yet that you're kind of led by your gut all the time. I don't have a whole lot of earth in my chart, so it was very easy to doubt and second guess the artistic, poetic intuitiveness that I was coming across out there in the world, not really trusting. So being an empath, there's a certain kind of groundedness that needs to come with it. Otherwise, it doesn't cement like it's meant to cement, being that concrete, and much like the Sagittarius temperance card, with 1 foot on land and 1 foot in the water. It could just as easily be with your feet on the ground and your head in the clouds, and just really making the connection between both. More like the Magician card, just knowing that you have the tools to bridge with your spirit guides and your daimon. So you got to find your own way around that. There's no easy way. There's going to be different for everyone. But if you take a few psychic classes or do some dream work, just kind of investigate what's real, you never know. You may come across and realize that you're clairvoyant, that kind of thing. So there's definitely some studying that needs to go on to figure out just how much of a mystic you are. I love that you get this card, this second decan, because this is where you need to be bringing your attention at this time. We need to know how much intuitive ability that you have. So you're being invited to take a closer look into that. Like I said, there's things that you can ask yourself. This is at best, grounded enough to be curious about it, and grounded enough in who you are that you can accept the abilities without feeling silly or like you're, what's a good word for it? When you're fooling yourself, so that you know that that's not where it's at, that you truly have. Because we all do. We just need to understand how to reach it and how to get to it and how to listen. All right. I'm going to turn over the Spirit and Nature card. All right. We got the Five of Clubs. I love this. The Five of Clubs. First, that club suit is so connected to the ethereal. When you think about the leaves of the tree, that's the clubs. It is absorbing nutrients from the ethos. It is you directly downloading from source through channeling through your spirit guides and your daimon. Your daimon wants you on your path. So this is where I would look to the chart and see if you've got a Five of Clubs, if you are a Five of Clubs, how you juggle to figure out what the most valuable thing in your basket is at this time. What to pull out of the basket and what to leave for another day, because they're all good nuggets in the basket. This is some of the things that fives are here to figure out. What to do and when to do it, and with what. Beautiful card for figuring it out, because everything that you do has value. Everything that comes your way has something to be gleaned from it. Tucking it away in your basket of goodies to be used for another day. It's very social. There's a lot of conversing with other people. It is a doer card because it's tireless, much like that Sagittarius Jupiter energy. Now, this one is related to the Judgment card, the black fives. So as far as judgment is concerned, what are we looking for there? It is more of that making timely decisions for significant change, which could be any time. Sometimes little things lead to big things. That's the fives energy. And the fives, now remember, your chart is connected to Jupiter. That's the fifth position. So the vibe is that there is this energy, this exuberance, this love of learning, of sorting it through. It's never tiresome. It is always really about embracing the best solution at the time and knowing it. It's another reason why this has to be so grounded, right? Because you got to know your direction. You got to know which way to go with it. Because it can't be an opportunistic card because you don't want to get stagnant in your decision making. It is time to act. Fives are always acting. Think about act instead of react. When something is inviting you to react to it, that's going to slow you down in bogging up the wheel, cogs of the wheel. What you want to do is to take a moment, not too much, but realize when you are being intuitively invited to act, not react, but act. Because failure to act just moves you through crisis, right? Source wants you to move. So you're either going to have to figure it out and act, or Source is going to do it for you. And if that happens, the fives end up doing it through crisis. It's not a very fun experience to have. It's a lot of emotional upheaval and not understanding, realizing that you've got too much. And as we know, that's part of what Sagittarius is here to do, to ground and to focus, right? Not an easy thing. It's fire energy with Sagittarius. In the club suit, it's air energy, fire and air. I know. Okay. So ultimately, the fives are here to seek spiritual knowledge as well. As Sagittarius, it's such a Sagittarius card. And it is the opportunity to grow with Source's help spiritually through making the right choices, right? Through trial and error. As long as you're trying, Source is happy. Your daimon is happy. So look at your ecliptic life path card, your Rahu card, your Jupiter card, and see where those are located in the upper seven, and start pulling the string on that. Write stuff down, your first impressions, and go with it. This is highly intuitively led. So cool. Let's see what you get for the Lenormand card. Mountain. Yeah, see, it's an obstacle. So this is for the second decan. You are being asked to check in with your psychic abilities, your intuitive abilities, your connectedness to listening to that gut feeling. Figure out how you can bring that to a deeper level of trust so that you can have an easier go at moving through life, making decisions, gleaming the nuggets, and taking that where it needs to go. This is totally related to how you can improve your living status. It's really offering you a way to do an amazing upgrade for yourself. Doing the hard work, listening, polishing your skills, and going with the gut as to what to polish and bring to the forefront. You might be putting it back in the basket. This is what fives do. trial and error. That might have had to happen a little bit, but then you might have needed to pick something else out of the basket and work on that as well. There's a bit of a juggling act, but that's okay. As long as you are on your path, you are going to get guided one way or another. Source will have your back. That is just truly lovely. Figure out what the obstacles are. If it's not feeling right? Feeling intuitively right, you're going to put it back in the basket because that's a reaction. You want to pull something out of left field, out of the ethos, handed to you intuitively. You might bump up into it. That energy that triggers you to go, okay, now I get it. I feel it. It's there. I'm going to trust. I'm going to know that if it's feeling weird or if I can't focus on it, if I'm divided or I'm caught up in daydreaming, if I'm feeling any kind of nervous, no. You're to act out of a clarity that can only come from a true knowingness. And that can only come from, in this case, sifting through and figuring out what the best thing is by feeling it through. Beautiful. You'll know what your obstacles are, and half of that is going to be needing to work on your intuitive connection. Whatever is holding you back from that is an obstacle. So now is the time to kind of delve into the woo-woo and really go after what is fun and intuitive and light. Remember that there's no clock. There's no time in intuitive seeking. It's just going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel like you've got all the time in the world, that there's no clock ticking. Anything that has a ticking clock is not what you want to be going for. This is something that is just present. Okay, let's see what you get for the Starseed card. Courage to do exactly that. Because you can run up into all kinds of, oh, she's into the woo. But you know what? It's energy. Every well-known teacher out there will tell you, look at Einstein, right? Follow that. Think of Stephen Hawking, go read The Grand Design. That will change your way of thinking. It is the most fabulous book that I could recommend to anyone. The Grand Design. You will not regret it. It's written for the layman. You'll be able to keep up. If I can keep up, you can keep up. All right, courage. Live your life fearlessly with courage, strength, and determination. Is that a Mars sub-ruled card or what? It practically is you and your catch-22 all wrapped up into one. Courage. Yes. Grab that obstacle by the horns and climb that mountain. I love it. Best of luck to you. This looks really fun. Oh, it is such an adventure, and I know you are going to do really well with it. All right. So let's take a look at the third decan. This one runs from December 13th to December 21st. It's subruled by the sun. So this decan is the most cautious in being accurate and achieving their goals. They come across with more boldness and are bigger risk takers. They like the limelight and can come across as warm and friendly. The catch-22 would be being narrow-minded, kind of focused, ego-centered, kind of a disregard for others' feelings, and kind of oblivious around other people's feelings. So let's see what you get for the archetype card. You got storyteller. So the light attributes are the ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. Shadow attribute is making up tales that harm others. That sounds kind of gossipy. Or if you were of a lower vibration, you would need to do that in order to raise yourself up. You know, it's interesting how that can work, because if you need to tell a story that presents yourself in a better light than you think someone is seeing you in, that is more of a ego self-esteem issue. So that would be a definite flag. But I think what this card is really talking about is how you're telling your life story. Because Sagittarius is all mixed up with that Temperance card. And in that card, you've got that seeking higher knowledge, reaching to connect intuitively, yet being grounded enough that you can be comfortable in that temperance balance, where you're striving for exactly that inner alchemy of intuition and groundedness, being soul-led but ego-wise. It's really a mix of being on your path and how you do you when you're faced with fate coming in, kind of throwing something in your path, and how you tell that story to yourself and how you bring it to the table when you're talking about it. How do you tell your story, right? And is it a black cat crossing your path, right? Is it finding, money on the sidewalk? Is it someone coming around karmically to give you that positive or negative feedback that you needed to hear? And what did that do to trigger growth and understanding within you? Because astrology, cardology, all of it is to help us figure ourselves out. So for you and this decan, we're being asked to take a look at how we tell our story, how we understand ourselves through our extroverted need to have that bounce off of other people to keep us in balance. How much of it do you need? And how much of it are you just genuinely, intuitively led? Because there's a certain amount of seeking to understand yourself, especially with the sun subbed ruled, because the sun is a reflection of the aces in the cardology. And that is you at your core. So kind of like asking the universe in a very Sagittarius, Jupiter, Sun combination way. Who am I? And how much of that I needs ego massaging, and how much of your soul is being overlooked or pushed to the back burner while you work on the external you? Good question. All right. Thank you for that. Ooh. So, okay. Are you being driven to attract attention? Or are you being driven to genuinely understand who you are in that temperance balance? Well, let's take a look at the Spirit and Nature card. Got the 5 of Hearts. So this is Jupiter run. It's a 5. It's in the Jupiter position. It is justice in the major arcana. So we're looking at how we account for our choices, how much integrity goes into it, how you accept the consequences of the actions. So interesting to find this here. It's emotionally led, and so much emotion is put into a good story, right? I mean, when you have something happen to you that is just so apropos that you can't wait to form that story that you now are going to tell everyone. It's funny. It is deep. It is poignant. It is just all of these lovely elements that really go into good storytelling and truth, right? There's got to be that element of self-deprecation and, funniness. Just beautiful energy here. It's a very creative card to be here with the storyteller, and having those lighter attributes of the storyteller card to be able to tell your experiences, right? And express your life exactly that way. Now, it also talks about symbols. So symbolically, there's a lot that can go into this as well. How I'm thinking, I'm getting that O. Henry stories, which I absolutely love, where there's always a catch-22. It always ends up with a moral lesson learned. It's like perfect for that. I can just see the songwriting coming out, this poetic, artsy, beautifully written story that is just so potent and rich with you there, just really kind of giving of yourself. It's a beautiful vision. Okay, so the 5 of Hearts. Let's talk about the 5 of Hearts for a minute. It is the struggling artist card because it's sorting through so much that doesn't work to find what does. So it's a lot of changing of your perspective, changing your thinking, changing your focus. It is getting one little bit of something, trying it out. There's something out of it, but not the whole thing. It's over and over. Totally either overwhelming ideas or no ideas at all. It's like a give or a take. That's the fives. So there's a lot of stamina, a lot of energy, and a lot of focus needed with this card. It is connected to a passion. It's lucky for the sub-sun ruled, it is a challenge and conquering that challenge. So, and you need to do that in order to emotionally find fulfillment. So that is your meter. That is the, does it feel good or does it not feel good? Because for Sagittarius, you want that element of that connectedness to spirit, that whole spirituality, seeking higher knowledge, that inner knowledge, that outer knowledge. This is where you really have to find that temperance balance in knowing exactly what to give, what to take, what to put in, what to leave out, leaving it to the imagination, and all of the good stuff. It is an opportunity here to be on the right path in telling your story. So again, with looking at the Jupiter placement and seeing what you have there, do you have a 5 of hearts in your chart? That would give you a lot of where to be looking to pull the string. You're going to want to look to see what your ecliptic is, your Rahu, where you're being invited to experiment and explore. There is a million stories just there in your own chart. And then matching them up to real life situations. You know, you can't make that stuff up. It just is so real. And to have that self-deprecation come in, because there are the connotations of that sun sign, you trying to figure you out. And there's no better way to do that than to break apart the self-absorption into who am I, and allow some direction to come in from source, to not be too gotta grab it, and run with it, because there's a certain amount of a looseness that has to come with this. That is so cool. Let's look at the Lenormand card. You got the ship. So the ship is all about having your ship come in. So this is telling me that you are on the verge of something really beautiful. You are so close to figuring it out. Figuring you out. Or at least you're going to be in the position to download some tremendous information about what makes you you. And it's no better way to get comfortable with who you are so that you can share those stories about your life, enrich your life, your way of being, the people around you who is in that realm of your warmth. You must just put out such a gorgeous, warm, friendly invitation to everyone around you. That perhaps that's what keeps you from fully putting yourself in it. So this is where you need to learn how to say no, how to take care of yourself, how to not give your energy away with your warmth and friendliness. It's perfect to have that loving kindness, that curiosity, But you also have the ability to know when to say when. This is in that sun attributes as well. You can have all that enthusiasm. You can be that bright light and the center of attention within a party, and say thank you and walk away and go have a conversation with someone else. You don't have to take everybody's business card. You don't have to call everybody back. You don't have to go to every party that you're invited to. And you know what the beauty of that is? That you know you. There is something so charming, so beautiful and attractive about confidence. And that is really what you're striving for here, is confidence. You want to think of the Temperance card, yes, of course, finding that balance, but also because you're sun-led, and that's Leo, you want to think about the Strength card as well. And that too is finding that alchemy within the strengths and the weaknesses and knowing how to use those to your best advantage while being kind and curious. Oh, you've got something big coming, and it feels really, really lovely. I hope you embrace it, because, yeah, it feels really, really nice. Okay. Let's see what you get for the Starseed card. Creation. Of course. Being creative is a wonderful way of witnessing the unfolding of your limitless creative soul. Truly, embracing temperance, embracing the Strength card, knowing that you shine, you've got this beautiful light that honestly feels like you've got the switch in your hand. It's going to happen one way or another. Either you're going to recognize it and you're going to move toward it, or your daimons calling it, you're ready, and you're going to trip over it. But either way, you're ready. That is so beautiful. I so love this. All right, we are going to have a fabulous Sagittarius season. It's going to be bright and beautiful. All right. Thank you. Best of luck to you.